Welcome to Mack-n-Cheeze Music Podcast with your hosts, Bryan DeHart.
Hey, this is Bryan. Thanks for joining in. I don't know about you, but I've had some pretty strange things happen at gigs.
Are you kidding me?
No, Bruno, I am not. And it's just not me. My guests on today's podcast have had a lot of strange things happen as well, as you are soon to find out. There is going to be a lot of explicit language on this podcast, so if that is offensive to you, please do not listen.
Are you kidding me?
Call it misspent youth or lack of common sense. You can decide for yourself. Take it away, Bruno.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Hi, this is Bryan from Mack-n-Cheeze. I'm with my friend Sean Hudson, who's the lead guitar player for Knuckles, Eric Ritts, who's a rep for Marco bass guitars. And we've come here tonight to just have some fun. And we just want to talk about the stuff that all the screwed up stuff that we've seen through the years on stage.
We've already lost Eric.
Yeah, we already lost Eric. So Eric, say hello.
Hey, how is everybody doing?
So you recognize the voice. It's Sean, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and just start talking about it. So what story, Sean, do you want to start with?
Oh, man. That's a rough one.
No, it's not that rough.
It's not that rough. So I used to work for these Polish guys. This is kind of a long story.
That's all right. Just good.
I might blow my load. It needs a little background information. Mark.
Don't drink
Marco
with Polish people.
He would always, I'd be working and he had his apartment right upstairs. And you knew when Mark was awake because you'd hear heavy metal or some death metal or some loud music when he was taking a shower. Mark's going to come down here, and he was always hungover. That's just a little background.
That's just a musician thing,
Given
right?
for a Polish.
He loved to come out to shows, and then he would. We can swear on this, right? So podcast, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He would come to shows, and he would go up to the singer, and he would grab the mic from his hands in the middle of a song. It doesn't matter. Push Dexter in the face out of the way, and then he'd stand there with the mic, and he'd go, Hey, fuck! And then he'd stand like he was Rocky on top of like he just ran up the steps.
Yeah.
He'd stand there like a victory. Hey, fuck! Yes, I am the best man. So this happened all the time, and so one time.
It was the worst gig ever.
We're playing with Stony Bone Child.
Stony Bone Child.
At the old China Club up on 85th.
Oh, yeah. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, right?
It was like a Wednesday night. There were like 6 people there, and it was everybody in bands.
Yeah.
It was like bands and girlfriends.
So Stony Bone
Typical
Child
Seattle night in the club, right?
is like a North Seattle. Everyone had leather and fringe coming off their jackets, and lots of bears, big hair, as I remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I have dim memories, but so the Polish guys were going to come, and they never made it. We played our set.
And we left.
And then pretty much Stony Bone Child just grabbed our stuff and threw it off to the side. Hey, we're getting on stage, man. And so it's a show. We're leaving. Anyway, Mark and Andy. Mark shows up. And he sees, he doesn't know if it's us or anybody else at this point. He's so drunk. So he goes up to the singer of this band, grabs the mic, pushes him, and that's when he got jumped. Like 10 guys in the leather jackets with a fringe beat the shit out of him, took him out back, went back into the alley, stabbed him. And left him for dead in the back. They stabbed him in the back. So I work with this guy in a computer store, which is logical.
Yeah.
He comes in the next morning. He comes down at like 11. He's still waiting.
Wait a minute. The next he got stabbed in the back, and
comes to work.
He comes to work. He came down from his apartment right upstairs.
Yeah.
And to talk to me, he says, "You motherfucker! This motherfucker stabbed me." And he. I don't believe this happens, man. Stab. So then he disappears because he's so hated. He's still drunk. He has no idea what's going on. Anyway, I don't see him. That was like a Wednesday night we played. Thursday, Friday, the weekend. I come into work Monday. I told you it's a long story.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all good, yeah.
And so Mark comes in and he goes, "Man, I'll tell you what, I never drink again." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yes. I have like a heart attack, have this pain in my stomach, heart attack, and then I quit drinking, no more. I'm eating healthy. I bought a bicycle to ride.
This is 2 days later?
No, this is 4 days later.
Oh,
This is on Wednesday.
4. Complete life
Thursday
change,
morning.
4 days.
Thursday morning was when I saw I'm still drunk, and this is the Monday.
Yeah.
And so I go, well, good for you. And then, so it's probably like Wednesday or Thursday of that week, and I go up to him. I go, Mark, have you healed up from being stabbed? And he goes, well, what the fuck are you talking about, man? I go, you came in Thursday after you saw our show. You said those guys stabbed me. He goes, 4, 5, a whole week I have not been drinking. And this is just stabbing? This was not harder? Why you didn't tell me earlier? We closed the business. Everybody go to the bar. And we closed the business and went to the bar. So that's starting to, that's a high bar. Start off with.
Yeah, well, okay, or yeah, whatever. Well, I'm not sure if I could attain that level of.
Yeah.
So I was in this band, and so the lead guitar player and the lead vocalist are married, and so like we're on the road. We've been on the road for months, and it turns out that the lead singer, she's kind of a sex maniac, right? And so she's trying to screw both the keyboard, actually not trying to screw, but screwing the keyboard player, screwing the sax player, and I'm like.
Yeah, where were you?
Well, I'm actually. I wasn't around. I wasn't a part of that plan because I was actually dating her sister at the time. So that made it okay. But we're hundreds of miles away from home, and I'm watching this whole thing going down, and I'm just like going, "Oh my God, what's going to happen to this?"
Yep. That's why you do test road trips before doing do a week long before you do the month long or 2 months tour.
We were out for months, like
Yep.
6 or 7 months at a time.
That's why you do a week here and a week there to start out before you do
it's just like this is weird nymphomaniac stuff, man. I'm like, and at the time I didn't even know what was going on because I was dating her sister. She didn't want to be involved with me.
Well, maybe
It's a great Heartwood lyric. I guess I'm gonna miss her and sleeping with her sister.
I got my first kiss down there.
Yeah, that's right. It's a good band. Anyway, go ahead. You're up.
I think my favorite one was the Ditto Tavern. And it was owned by this guy. He's probably dead now, so I can say his name. His name's Paul Eddy. And he was a penurious, cheap son of a bitch.
Penurious. That is way too sophisticated a word for this podcast.
He was cheap. Cheap son of a bitch.
Fashioned himself after the guy that ran CBGB's. I forget what his name is.
Yeah, right. He thought he was something special. And anyway, so he had this. It was the first gig that we ever played at.
He let anybody play.
He let anybody. And we got a gig there like after we'd been a band for like 2 weeks. Or a month. Was it like a month or something like that?
Yeah, man. They had typewriters at every table. I
They had
remember that.
typewriters because he fancied himself a poet.
Yeah.
He fancied himself a poet. Yeah.
Did they do spoken word poetry there? No.
Well,
but see, that's it.
Actually, that is it.
Yeah.
So we played there a bunch, and it had plate glass windows all the way down to the sidewalk, and it was this tiny little place, and you had to bring your own PA, and so we bring our PA,
of course.
and we're running mains and taping shit down.
Which just means we have to stay there to see the bands after us.
Yeah, that's right. You gotta run sound for the bands after you.
Right.
Not only that, but we got an extra $5.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
You didn't even get any extra free alcohol?
No, you got
absolutely not.
Every band got $20 and a pitcher of beer.
Oh, nice.
That was the deal.
Yeah,
That was the deal. That was the deal.
Yeah.
So
it is Seattle, of course.
Yeah.
That's what you do. What? They didn't feed you? No.
What's the name of that band after us?
I don't know, but they were great, man. They were awesome.
He kept telling us how they had the avant-garde market. They were so
had the
tapped into it.
They were tapped into the avant-garde market.
Okay.
Which roughly translates. Well, I'll tell you in a minute.
Yeah.
So we're in there. We're hooking up all the mains and we're getting everything ready, and we forgot duct tape. So we go up to Pauletti and say, "Hey man, we forgot duct tape. Can you help us out?" And he's like, "Yeah, but you have to pay me. It's $5.
Yeah, $5.
Or it's $10 or something.
Yeah, $10. It was
$10
more than the big...
$10 for a roll of duct tape. You wouldn't, And we're like,
So we had to pay $5 to bring the PA.
so we got the extra $5, but had to pay $5.
Yeah, right.
So
but you got a pitcher of beer.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, we got that for sure.
And $20.
Yeah,
and
we bought like 3 more.
Yeah,
bought like
of course.
3 more.
So whatever.
Yeah.
So we've got sort of straight-laced Kyle as the frat boy drummer from Eugene.
Uh-huh.
We've got Dex, the maniac lead front singer, who himself is responsible for the no stage diving rule at the color box
That's true.
that they put together back in the
That is
day.
true.
And
by the way, we're dating ourselves here.
right, early
Color box was
'90s.
a great
And so we do our set, and this band gets up there, and they're the avant-garde guys, right?
Yeah, I remember. I wish I remember their name.
I can't. Something cabaret.
Okay.
Was there? I
Sure.
remember cabaret. So the first thing they do is they set up this camera and a sheet on the back wall, and they're playing like clips of movies, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's
Right.
avant-garde.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
It was it?
So
Yeah.
they
That was
get
more
up,
of a show than we had.
so they get up on stage, and the drummer sets up, and he's got
Bucket.
he's got a gas can wrapped in a
Yeah.
towel. Like a 2-gallon gas can wrapped, and that's his snare drum.
Yeah.
And then he's got 2 V drums, just like 2 drums that are like toms, like
Yeah.
and that's it. That's all he's got for drums.
Yeah.
And he's like this kind of hippie-ish dude, I guess. I can't remember exactly. And then the guitar player shows up, and it was obvious that he was like, I remember talking to him. He said he's like a jazz guy from Bainbridge Island, man.
Yeah.
And he had a Gibson ES 335, and a nice little
love
2
that
amp.
guitar,
And
yeah.
he's just sort of playing along. And then the bass player shows up. He's got like plaid pants on and a polka dot shirt or something, and a pocket protector in his shirt with like 200 pencils in it. He had a lime green P bass, and he had taken that steering wheel, what is it like faux furs, like 3 inches long.
Yeah.
And he had glued it to the edge all the way around.
It was pretty cool, man.
And all the way up the headstock and all the way down the bass.
Oh my God.
And that
I
was
like it at
his-
its fur outline.
And then they had this, and then the singer shows up, and he's this little sprite of a gay man, just a small little guy. He had a cardigan sweater on, and he had his dark little curly, cute little hair that he had. Listen, hey, and so then he would, and they start to play, and all he did was tell jokes. He didn't sing. He just told joke after joke after joke after joke after joke, and the punchline to every joke is, "There's a bug in my eye.
Yeah.
There's a bug in my eye."
Yeah. That was great. That was it. That was a bug in my eye. Bug in my eye. It was great, man.
They're showing movies at the same time.
Yeah, they were showing movies.
Wow.
There was music, sort of. It was cool, man. I dug those guys, but I didn't know what to think of it at the time. Looking back, though, I wish I could see those guys right now.
And there was another time we played there, and I think my mom brought somebody from the opera that she was trying to get me to go with. My mom was an opera singer, and so.
Which explains
Must
your
be all
perfectionist tendencies.
Musical talent.
Yeah.
Perfectionist
Well,
tendencies.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the talent, but I'll go with the OCD part.
Yeah.
But she brought this girl who is supposedly single, and we're playing there, and it's just like, God, it's just ridiculously loud. And this is a different time, and
Yeah.
she just sort of. I remember watching her, and she just sort of got up and walked out.
Yeah.
It was awful.
We've never had anyone else walk out on us, though.
No,
you know of.
Whatever.
We used to have
They're
people
missing
walking-
out on a great time. Let me
Yeah,
tell you.
that's right.
Oh, we were the party band. Or do you remember the well, I won't say his name, but of course, the party in the party. We were a party band, right? Our best gigs were parties
yeah.
and not bars. It was the party out in Lake City
Oh, yeah.
where the fight happened. And
There was a fight, and so the party got so out of hand that
Was there alcohol involved?
the owner of the party called the cops on her own party. And I didn't know she called the cops. this is how the conversation went. She came up to me and she grabbed me on the arm. She's like, "Listen, Sean," she's going, the police are coming, but this is what happens. You're going to leave with the band, and you're going to drive around. And then in 15 minutes, you're going to come back. Because we still want the party. We just want them to leave. So that's what we did. The cops came, broke up the fight, sent all the people off. And, the party's over. She got all emotional. Yeah. And then the cops left, and then we went back and got drunk all night. And
but it was
Halloween.
Yeah, it was pre-Halloween.
But it got out of hand because one of the people in our crew,
James,
got in a fight with a dude and got his ass kicked all over the backyard. I mean, this dude was just beaten. And James lived in the neighborhood, and he said, "I'm going to go get my gat right now." And he took off to go get his gat, and she was just like, "Okay, forget this." But that's not even the best part of the party. The best part of that party, and that was like Tim's girlfriend.
Yeah.
What was her name?
I remember. I wish I did. She was cool.
I won't say his last name.
She was super cool, man.
She was
I liked
super
her.
Cool. She was really sweet.
We were the ones,
her name was Meg.
Yeah, we told her, "Are you sure you want to date this guy? He's kind of a dick." We know, we're his buddies, right? "Are you sure you want to date this guy?" And she's like, "What?" And then like 2 years later when they break up, she's like, "You guys were right."
But the best part of that party was she served Jello shots with little plastic ants in them.
Yeah.
So the next day you're crapping out.
Oh man.
Oh, that was good.
All right.
So I'm gonna one up you guys. So
good luck.
Well, I don't know. It depends on where the bar is set. Is it high or low?
Keep going.
So, so we're out at a gig, finish the night, and then a cocaine dealer comes in at the end of the night, and so we spent the entire night being blown up on cocaine. And
as a musician,
I know it's strange.
Are you okay with that?
I was at the time, but I think that it was dropping the acid afterwards, and then
you got them all that night.
Hitting the party, and then
professionals
hooking up with the cocktail waitress later on was pretty cool. But yeah, just a normal night out there in your late 20s, early 20s, I should say, doing a gig. Yeah.
That's it?
That's all I got. That's all I got.
You're not admitting to something here. I think you have more. Okay, so we're in tour in California. I think we're in Modesto, maybe?
Well, that's why I brought you. You have better stories.
Different.
Yeah, you just bored me on that one. You took drugs. All right, so that was like, I did that all the time. I'm glad it's over with, but I did that all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. You got to go back to the drawing board, bring something to the table. So, anyway,
that's why I have you guys here and not me. We're way more interesting than I am.
We're playing in Modesto, and so we get there. I mean, I may be managing a couple of these gigs together, but whatever. Band, it's a good. Yeah, this was
M from
Men from Mars. Yeah. And we get there, and you can have anything you want to eat. You can have anything you want to drink. You guys are the entertaining part of the night, so we get some food, and we start playing our set, and we start drinking tequila, and the night goes crazy, and then there's hundreds of people in there. It was a packed night. It was a really fun show. High energy, and we go outside afterwards. They're like, it's 2 a.m. You guys all have to get out, and they all push us out the back door into the parking lot. And there's the Suburban that we're driving in with the trailer in back, because we're on tour at this point. We're all living in the Suburban and in hotel rooms and sick of each other and smell bad. And that Suburban is going up and down, and the whole bar, like 250 people are there, just like watching this thing, going like, what the? And then here opens the door, and out comes the singer, and he's like, what's going on? Everyone, and everyone starts clapping for him, and he's like, thank you.
Right out of
and
the
here comes this girl behind him. Just it was
walk of shame.
Yeah, it was classic. Anyway,
Who was that? Who was the singer?
I'm not saying his name. We go back the next day,
remember that.
and I'd like, all right, I like to have a tequila.
Oh.
We're here. I like my tequila, and they're like, no.
I wonder why.
Yeah, you guys drank way too much last night. I felt like I was in the Blues Brothers. You know?
Right.
Like, all you guys get are beers off the tap tonight. That's all. I'm like, well, all right.
I'll take that.
I have some money. I will buy myself a tequila. And they're like, no. I'm like, why not? And it's like, we don't have any left. You guys drank all the tequila, and our suppliers, Modesto, we can't go next door. Our suppliers come Monday. We're out of tequila for the next 2 days, thanks to you. And it's Saturday night now, so it sucks for us too. But you can't have any.
But
So-
you weren't lying about that band being the tequila band, yeah.
we had some good times. They loved our
So
tequila.
we're playing this hotel band. We've got a huge room, and we're doing the quiet first set thing. We've got our keyboard player there, and we're vamping on this tune, and the keyboard player just keeps doing the solo, and he won't stop. It's like we're vamping, and he's just like doing the solo, and doing the solo, and the bass player walks up to him and goes, "Hey man, why don't you cut this off?" And he goes, "What?" And he stands up and he grabs his Fender Rhodes. This is a big guy, man.
Yeah.
He grabs his Fender Rhodes with one arm, picks it up, and walks off the stage and goes, "You guys are a bunch of... I'm not playing with you anymore." So he walks out onto the stage, and there are people in the crowd, and the sax player runs up to him, going, "Mike, you can't like leave. What's the gig?" And he puts the Rhodes down and swings at the sax player and hits one of the ladies on the dance floor.
Oh no!
And
Customer service business.
at the best. And so and we found out later that he had drank 2 bottles of Jack Daniels before he'd come to the gig that night. And so he bends down, picks back his Rhodes, and he stomps out of the club. And come to find out, this was not a big town that you were in. Later on that night, he had gone to 4 different clubs, and the police were chasing him all across town. At one of the clubs, he was walking across the tables.
With a Fender Rhodes.
No. Well, I don't know what he did with the Fender Rhodes at that point, but I don't know, took him back up to the hotel room or whatever. But it was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. You hit one of the guests? Oh my God.
Right.
But what's weird is that we didn't get fired. And so we kept that gig, and so we called up one of our friends who was another keyboard player, and he flew up the next day to take the place of that guy.
Cool.
And we finished off the tour, but that was one of the most bizarre nights. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, come to find out, the guy we found out later that he was hypoglycemic. So there's 2 bottles of Jack Daniels.
Over the top.
Over the top with sugar, dude.
Over the top.
Yeah.
Sugar.
Just blind.
That's how you got in the Disco Cowboys. That's the previous.
No, you guys are. Those guys are seasoned.
I don't think I've ever had one where someone's hit someone in the audience.
Oh my God! I know. That's just crazy stuff.
Remember what's that place in the U District that we played? The sports bar.
University Sports Bar.
The band before us had these chicks, 3 girls that went up there. They were the Thigh Master girls.
Oh yeah!
It was they were like a cowpunk band. One of my buddies from high school. They were fucking. I loved them. I loved the cowpunk thing. So they had on short mini skirts. They were all early 20s, super hot chicks, and they started thigh mass. They sat on stools behind the lead singer, a row of three of them, and started thigh mastering. And you know, there was nothing on under. That was part of it. There was nothing on under the mini skirts.
Of course not.
So, but yeah, that was an interesting show, man. I mean, nothing left to the imagination, as they say.
Well, I'm not exactly sure why they would do something like that.
It's the show, man.
It's the show.
You want to put on a show? You want the guys to just go up there and stand there and look at their feet and play like they've been in their rooms. You want somebody to jump around and do something, have some energy on stage, man. Man, if you could have the Thigh Master girls every day, you would have people show up to your show
every day. That's right,
every time.
Yeah. It might be a little tame these days. I don't know.
Yeah. Right? It might be.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think of. Oh, there was one time. So we played we used to play the Rendezvous a lot.
Oh
right?
yeah, the Rendezvous is great. Old porn house.
Old porn house. It was a
porn movie theater.
It was a small movie theater, and
was it close to the Apple?
Kind of. It was Belltown. It's still there.
Yeah.
It's still there.
This is before. Yeah, it's modernized. People have bought it since then, and but yeah, back then. It was shady. Yeah, that's the first place I ever saw an alcoholic, like, this alcohol thing is real. Because there was a guy that had an idiot mitten, like he had a string tied to his hand around his neck, so he could pull on the string and it would pull his hand. He had the shake so bad up so he could drink.
Whoa!
And he did that for his first couple drinks until he got rid of the shake so he could drink.
Wow!
And
idiot mitten. That's a great name for a band.
I was like 22, and I was like, this alcoholism is real. I better cut down on my drinking. I have to reevaluate everything I've been doing since I was 14. Man. Okay, anyway, but that's not the story. Go ahead.
Well, there's a couple. One of them was this guy who would do this sort of lascivious dance, like on the
So wait a minute. There's another big word, lascivious.
Lascivious, sort of overtly sexual, right? Okay.
All right, there you go.
So there was a street guy.
Thank you for clarifying.
He was a street guy for sure. He was a black guy from off the street.
But
he came in
from Mississippi. He was from Mississippi.
Oh, he was a cool guy. Whatever, we gave him a couple bucks here and there. He was a cool guy. But yeah, man, he would get up and just start dancing to us, and the crowd went crazy.
And he would do the alligator,
the worm. The worm. Where you get on your belly on the floor and you crawl across.
Wow, yeah,
gyrating, man. People loved that. And then we just started. We'd go look for him and tell him where we're playing, and she'd show up. We'd pay his cover, and he'd sit there and get drunk. And about halfway through the show, man, whenever whenever the spirits talked to him, he would come out and worm across the stage. Woo! And that was like, people thought, it's like, who is that guy? He's part of your show.
Or the worm of the alligator, or whatever it was.
Whatever, man. He was cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And the first time it happened, your mom was actually at the gig.
Yeah. My mom always comes see me. She saw some of the weirdest stuff. It's coming to see my
There was another time we played a gig there, and
people would go, "Those are your parents?"
They come and see you. They come and watch this shit.
Wow, man. I mean, that's cool, I guess.
What's wrong with your family?
Yeah, right. What do you mean? I'm sorry. They support me and they're really cool. Sorry.
Now, I don't know about you, but I can personally guarantee you I did not play one single gig sober.
That's true.
Back in those days. It drove Kyle nuts. But we're at the same bar, and
I know exactly what you're talking about.
We're at the same bar, and we had already played, and it was probably RPA again. And so we had to stay. I wonder if I can't remember.
I stuck around to see bands a lot. When
yeah,
I could.
Right. Anyway, the guy who booked the place was a really cool dude, and so we would watch bands. And this band, I didn't realize, and I was really hammered. How I drove home from these things.
I got Dirty Hammer stories. I got Eric Hammer stories I can tell if you want some of those.
So this band.
Been there before. I know about that.
So these guys, I'm sitting there with Dex and Amanda, his kind of straight-laced girlfriend, Demanda.
She wasn't. Yeah.
Dexter and Amanda.
Yeah.
She's a sweetheart, but
Yeah, she is. When they first started going
she
out,
want a lot?
she took all of his time. She was Demanda. We didn't like her. She's ruining the band, man. They're happily married
It's
for
your wife.
for like 20 years and have kids now. But back then, Demanda.
so this
Best thing happened to Dex.
So me and Dex, like you and me
Yeah.
and Amanda and Dex are sitting at a booth after the show. There's another band going, and it's because there was like two rooms. There's like the stage room,
Right.
and then a little booth. You know this story, right?
This is flashback.
This is great, man. And this other band comes over and sits down. I didn't know who they were. I was lit, fucking drunk. And
Yeah, I'm
they
sitting
came
at
over
the
and
table.
and they come over and they go,
I'm
well,
sitting at the table with them. I couldn't believe it.
What did you think? What did you think of that other band? I was like, yeah, I don't know, man. The drummer wasn't that great, and they didn't have a whole lot of groove, and I don't know. The guitar player was kind of a wanker. They just, the singer sucked.
So he said, I'm not sitting next to Eric, or I would have elbowed him right in the gut, and he would have doubled
I
over.
already know where this is
But,
going.
I'm on the other side. I was like, I thought they were really good. This is the guys.
Yeah.
No, but there was also a point in time where Amanda
You said
was
stuff like that all the
Yeah,
time.
there was a point in time
you
where
never
Amanda was
hold
like,
back.
Kicking you under the table.
And then she's looking at you, and Sean's like, no, don't stop him. Don't
Yeah,
stop him. Let him keep going. That was great.
She's kicking him under the table. He's like, "Stop kicking me! Why are you kicking me in the middle of this whole thing while he's talking about him?" I was so embarrassed. He had no idea.
But you also thought it was great. I remember you.
I did think it was great. I'm not saying I disagreed with you. I'm just saying I would never have said that to him.
I had no idea who they were.
You like to be snarky and asshole to the other band. Like later when you're like, that other band. Did you see that? Every guitar player does it all. I could play better than him. Did you see that?
Did you hear that?
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think every band does that to some extent.
Think of a Dexter story, but I can't.
You can't think of any Dexter stories?
Aside from the stage dive he did at the Color Box, and there were like 7 people in the audience, and he jumped off the stage.
Who caught him?
Nobody.
He thought they would. That wasn't a low stage. That was like a 5-foot high stage.
That stage was chest high.
Yeah.
What was he even thinking? Why would he do that?
He had the energy, man. He was a good front man. He jumped around. He did all that stuff. Yeah.
But he was probably high because he was like.
You think?
He was no. But the thing is, he was totally different than anybody else when he was high. Like other people are like, oh hey man. And he would get exactly the opposite.
He would feel
totally
like he's
hyper.
backed into a corner, so he's fighting his way out of
So
the
do you-
high corner. I gotta get out!
And he'd be like totally hyper and just absolutely bazonko crazy. And
So like, you didn't want him that way at practice, but when you got to the gig, it's like
Yeah.
you got to get him high somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got to use reverse psychology on musicians like that. There was a
Oh, that works really well.
Wayne, one of the singers. He was our songwriter, man. And he wrote amazing songs, and we did some rockers and all
Idiot
this stuff. And then he would all of a sudden he's writing all these like acoustic singer-songwriter things, way mellower. Didn't really fit the band. We were a big rock touring band, and it's because he's got in a relationship with this girl, and everything was like looking up in his life, and he was happy, and he started writing that way. And then she took a job on a cruise ship, and then She's coming into Portland after being out for a month, and he drives down to Portland to meet her, and she gets off the boat just to say, hey, I've met somebody and I'm breaking up, and he called me and he called Jeno and he's all upset, and then like,
meanwhile he's been cheating on her the whole time.
I don't think he was. I think I really liked her, and he was yeah, man, everything's gonna be okay. Just drive back up here, whatever you need. I'm there for you, bro. All this stuff. And then me and Jet called each other. He called both of us in the band, me and the bass player, and was like, we're gonna get some new rock songs. This is gonna be fucking great. He's gonna start writing rock again. We're so excited. But of course, emotional singers. What are you gonna do?
You ever been thrown off stage?
No, I haven't.
I've been thrown off stage.
How was that? How did
at
that
a
work?
place where you and I played a gig at the J Bay. Remember?
Yeah.
Whoa, wait, was that after we did that gig?
Yeah, it was after we did that gig.
Why did you get thrown off?
Well, because I have I won't say his name, but a good friend, and you know who he is.
Yep.
Anyway, and he can play guitar and drums.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking
Yep.
about. So anyway, he calls me, says, "Man, Dirty, come on out." And by the way, my nickname back then was Dirty. So he come
Tell
on.
him how you got that nickname.
Oh well, that's all right. That's pretty good. So he calls me, because I got this. I've been hanging out with this dude.
I'm not sure if I ever heard that
Oh,
story.
you should.
You should, yeah. So anyway, so he calls me and says, "Oh, we got a gig coming up, man." And I'm sort of, I'm playing V drums for a guy, and he does this really cool singer-songwriter stuff, and I've been hanging out with him. He lives over in Finn Hill, in between Bothell and Kirkland, and we got a gig lined up at the J Bay, and it's his CD release party, and we need to put together. We're gonna put together a band and start rehearsing and go play the gig. You want to do it? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So we go in there and we start rehearsing, and and this guy's like totally laid back. And in fact, you and Chris mastered his CD for him, remember? And and all the tracks were just like totally weird and fucked up.
Yeah,
he recorded it in a very strange way. And anyway, but he was actually a pretty decent musician.
Yeah.
And he would do things like
He had a Steely Dan chordal vibe thing to him.
He did have a Steely Dan chordal vibe.
Yeah, he really did.
And he was a decent songwriter and a good enough singer. Yeah. So we rehearsed, and I wish I could say his name.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's so great.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we go and we do this thing, and so we rehearse, and he brings in. So he's got my buddy on drums, on V drums. I'm playing bass, and he's got his little acoustic guitar, and he's got a bunch of cover songs that he's doing, and he's doing his own singer-songwriter kind of folk rock stuff. It's actually pretty cool. And so we rehearse, and he finds this he finds this guitar player. It was really good. The guy was a Berkeley grad. He was a really good guitar player. But he was schizophrenic, and he was unmedicated.
A guitar player?
Yeah.
Schizophrenic? Yeah. Unmedicated?
Unmedicated.
Most guitar players I know are medicated.
Wait a minute, that's a good thing. But the whole point of that is that he started like spiraling. Anyway,
Right.
That's beside. Anyway, so he had this beautiful Strat, and it was a great guitar, and he was really knowledgeable. He was a good player, but he just couldn't get his head together because he was, of course, unmedicated in the weird part of the spiral and hallucinating. And so we rehearse, and everything's going pretty good. And I'm thinking, all right, this is okay, because he'd have his days.
Right.
So we get to the gig, and actually, part of this guy's problem is, I don't know how do I say this for maximum benefit. Anyway, the guitar was just beat. It was beat. The frets were so worn that it would not sound a chord accurately.
Wow.
Any chord at all.
Right.
And any solo he played was just not right.
Just to be out of tune, no matter what you do.
No matter what. It was a beautiful guitar, but no matter what. And so he's constantly tripping and looking up at the ceiling.
God.
So we get to this gig, and so this dude has V drums, and they belong to the singer-songwriter. So he shows up to the gig, and he sets up the V drums, and the drummer wasn't there yet because he had some other things going on that had to do with cocaine and crack and a few other things.
Just normal stuff.
It's a good band.
So far, this is shaping up. So we get in there, we get set up. I get myself set
I
up.
love my bands right now so much after hearing these stories and remembering a lot of this stuff. Man, I love hanging out with people that show up and don't have these issues. Why did I play with those people for so long back
Because
then?
you didn't know any better.
Yeah,
That's
right?
why.
I guess.
So this guy,
I think I knew better all the time. I
They
just still
you
did
were
it right
denying it.
anyway.
It was
So back-
just living in denial.
we get set up, and there's at this particular club, the J Bay in Juanita, they have a small PA system, and you operate it yourself. From the it's like a little size of a shoebox kind of thing, and a couple speakers. So what he does, so he sets up the V drums, and he's got these Bose speakers that are like they're about 4 inches square. And they're like 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
And that's what he brings to amplify, for
The
speakers,
drums.
for the V drums.
Yeah.
And what he doesn't bring is monitors.
Oh,
The V
nice.
drums.
Yeah.
And he thinks,
I'm going to be able to hear this.
And the guitar player's setting up, and I'm looking over at the guitar player, and I can tell that he's really starting to spiral. He's tripping. He's whatever it is he's doing, I can't even remember. But you could tell that he was like really starting to spiral at that point in time.
It's gonna be a good gig.
And James, well, I'll just say his first name, James. Anyway, so James, the singer, is like kind of on cloud 9 because he's got his little CD out, and he sets up his little table with his little napkin on the table or his bandana. CDs, $10.
I'm going to sell at least 5 of these things tonight.
I'm going to sell 3 of them.
Awesome.
It's going to be a good night.
Right.
It's gonna be,
Walk out of here with $25.
Maybe.
After
the bar bill.
300 that I
Before
spent
the
on
bar
these.
bill.
Yeah.
so we have all these songs that we've rehearsed, and I'm kind of a picky person when it comes to music.
No,
so,
you?
Yeah, so
That was a weird statement.
I was already
Perfectionist tendencies.
and I was already irritated with him because he tried to tell me that he played Tears in Heaven exactly like Eric Clapton did, but couldn't cop the diminished chord that's in that song, and it drove me crazy. Don't tell me you play it just like this guy, because I'm going to go home and learn it just like that, and don't drop a chord.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was already a little bit irritated. If you knew me,
A little bit?
if you know me, that's pretty accurate. So,
Back in those days, it didn't take much to set you up.
and this was long after any of the hip bone stuff or people getting stabbed at a gig or anything like that. So
We'd already been through that.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
we
that's
get all
old
set
hat.
up. We get all set up, and so the guitar player's over there kind of tripping out with a guitar that will not sound a song, will not sound a chord.
Yeah.
And the singer songwriter's on cloud 9 with his little acoustic guitar and his little CDs, and I'm set up over there. And where's the drummer? There's no drummer to be found. We don't know where he is.
Safety meeting.
He's at a, downbeat comes, he's not there. Another half an hour later, he's not there. Downbeat
Wait a
comes.
minute. I'm going to stop this narration just really quickly, because usually it's not the drummer who doesn't show up, it's the lead vocalist.
Right? Well, right.
So this is we're role reversing here.
We're role reversing it, right? So the drummer doesn't show up, and he doesn't show up, and he doesn't show up, and it gets to be about like an hour after downbeat, and he finally shows up, and he's high as fuck, and he sits down to play. And
My job as a guitar player.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, what's he doing?
Yeah. Trying to step on my
trying to
footsteps.
step in my territory.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
He's not as drunk as I am. So we get going, and he's back to playing the drums, and we start to play, and he's looking at me. He's like, I can't hear myself. James, where are the monitors? You didn't bring me monitors for my drums?
Yeah.
There were no monitors for him, so he couldn't hear himself.
Yeah, I've been there before. I know about that.
So we, and the guitar player's over there just spacing out, and not only his guitar won't make chords that sound okay, he's forgetting what he's supposed to do.
Right.
And I'm over there
seeing rainbows and stuff.
and I'm over there, and like I go home, and I had, it's all classic rock and his songs,
Right.
but I had charted out all of his tunes and put all,
Right.
I had them all memorized and everything down. And,
Everything was perfect from Eric's point of view.
I had it all. I thought it was great.
I was at perfection, at peak performance.
So we get through a couple songs that are perfectly okay,
Perfectly okay.
Given what it is,
Dynamically okay.
we get through Brown Eyed Girl.
Oh my God! It was.
And we get through Brown Eyed Girl, and we get through. Oh God, what else was there? Was a couple of other songs. And we did a bunch of his songs. And we actually got through one set. I don't know how we did it. And then the other thing that was happening is that the owner had booked. This club was notorious for serving underage people.
Oh yeah,
it was notorious for serving underage people, and so there was an underage. There was a 21st birthday party with a bunch of underage people there who came in about halfway through the first set. So they come in and they're starting to drink and watch us, and then in the second set, we're cruising.
When do you get kicked off the stage?
Oh, we're getting there. It's just a couple of songs into the second. It's a couple of songs into the second.
I find all this fascinating. I mean, geez.
So we get through.
This is all real world stuff.
We get 2 or 3 songs into the second set, and things are really starting to fall apart. You know, I mean,
really?
Really fall apart, and you know.
So it's fallen from the peak of the drummer being an hour late, not hearing himself. I got tied that's out of tune.
Now we're really
petting dragons.
We're really falling apart. I mean, there's a great, and it probably sounded like this video that you can see what fish sounds like to people who don't like fish.
Right.
It's great. So we're playing along. And we're kind of struggling with some stuff, and I'm over there playing on, and this guy comes up and he starts going, listen, you know, this drunk guy's like, you gotta get into it, man. You gotta play the vibe. You gotta feel the music. I can tell you're not feeling the music. You gotta get into this, and you gotta rock with it, man. And you just gotta let it belt out, man. Come on, don't you know anything about music? And so we get into the next song, and it's Sultans of Swing, and Sultans of Swing just absolutely falls apart about halfway through.
Yeah.
Halfway through the song.
Was I in this band?
No.
What? Does it sound familiar?
No, I mean, but maybe.
About halfway through Sultans of Swing, all of a sudden the boom, ticka-doom, 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 ticka-doom comes on over the PA, and the guy comes up and goes, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Throws us off stage. And,
Was that the owner who did that? Yeah.
I think my favorite part was the guitar player. Schizophrenic.
As it should be, as a guitar player.
Right, I mean,
Schizophrenic, out-of-tune guitar player.
How's that working for you, by the way? Is it all right?
I got other guitar player stories. I can match that beat for beat.
Yeah. Regale us, please.
I can't think of anything. All I remember is perfection every time I played, showing up right on time. I actually showed up every time on time. I don't know how I found half the gigs. I don't know how I got there. It was back before you had Google Maps. You had it on a piece of paper, an address, and you had to follow street. And you know, I was busy doing other stuff.
How did we ever find La Luna in Portland?
I don't know how we found Brad, the drummer, from when I played with Brad with Men for Mars to practice.
You'd have to go
every
to the
time.
Comet.
Every time he's not at practice, I'm like, don't worry. And I get in the car from the U District, drive to the Comet Tavern, and
find him.
And it was Brad, and he'd be sitting there with a beer in his hand. And I tap him on the back. He'd turn over. Oh, is it Wednesday? Is it band practice? Yeah. All right. Well, I'll be right there. And that worked twice. He said, I'll be right there. And then I left and he stayed there. So then I was like, no, I got you. Get in the fucking car. And I drove him to band practice. Yeah. The only reason I was in that band is because they had their whole tour booked. And 2 weeks before.
This is a great story.
Yeah, two weeks before, their guitar player freaked out. The pressure was too much for him. He couldn't do it. They went to practice, and on the Marshall stack, there's a note that says, I can't handle it anymore. I got to get out of here. And he moved to like Montana or something.
That's a great way to quit.
Yeah.
That was with JB playing drums? And...
and Anthony and Jet.
Oh, okay, that's a different band.
Yeah, Men from Mars. And so...
Anthony.
So they were... And Brad calls me up, of course. He's like, what are we going to do? I have this tour booked. I have no idea. I'm like, I'll go. And I'm like, I want to go on tour. I hadn't been on tour at that point in my life. I'll go. And he's like, what? He goes, I never even thought of asking you. I'm like, fuck, yeah, I'll go.
Yeah.
We can learn the song. So we had a gig at the Firehouse a week later.
Oh, yeah.
I sat in, learned all the songs.
Yeah.
I still have a recording of that. It's terrible. And it's actually, the recording's really good, but the other guitar player really wanted to be a singer and sing backups. He's great, backup guitar player.
Yeah.
Chordal.
Yeah.
Did really good. Was
hated that
underneath, and but he couldn't sing. And so it's like, and that's the main track that they have. It was a board mix, and that was the main one. So it's like this really good music going on, and then all of a sudden,
Anthony.
Yep, yeah. It was, yeah. I got some
I
stories
played a
about
gig
him
for that.
too.
Yeah, I played a gig for you guys. He hated me.
I can't imagine why he hated you.
Yeah, I don't know.
He always. So when he thought he managed the band. For
Brad,
boy,
right? Yeah.
Right. So it was Brad's band. It was Brad's tour. Brad had the money. Brad was the one funding the tour, and everyone else had to sign a contract and it had all this stuff in it.
Blah blah
and
blah.
I got there
yeah.
2 weeks before, and Brad, I had that conversation with him. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll play, and he goes, "Fuck yeah, okay, let's do it. You're in. Come on." And I'm like, "Cool." And so then, like a week later, Anthony comes to me. He goes, "I need to talk to you about something very important. I've been talking to Brad. We'd like you to offer you the position of the lead guitar player in Men from Mars for this tour." And I'm like,
"Really?
I already talked to Brad. I'm coming." And he's like, "Well, I need you to sign this contract." And I'm like, "Go fuck yourself. I'm not signing a fucking thing.
Yeah.
You want me to or not?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, I'm going to have to go talk to Brad." I'm like, "Good. Go talk to Brad. We already talked about this, man." So, whatever.
Sign a contract.
Yeah. That was
He
a great
took
time.
himself way too seriously. Every time we'd go out to dinner, he'd conveniently forget his wallet.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Right. He's so they went on tour together. I had a job. I was doing computers at the time, so that was the deal. It's like I had to play
Were
for
you programming it? Was that what you were doing?
I was doing also networking,
Yeah.
network stuff.
Yeah.
And I would pay for all my own flights, so I flew down to San Francisco, flew down to LA, flew down to Cabo, flew down to Vegas, wherever we were playing. Like Thursday night, I'd fly down there, or Friday morning, get in, play a gig, play another gig, party with the band. Sunday night, I'd catch a plane home. Monday morning, I'd crawl into work hungover and just like this world. Oh man, what was that like? And then work all week, and then Thursday, as soon as I got off work, drive to the airport and do it all again for like 2-3 months.
Wow.
And it was super cool. But after a couple months, the guys in the band started to change when they'd see you. It wasn't like, "Hey, man, it's good to have you out here on tour with us. It's awesome." It'd be like, "Hey, man, these fucking guys are assholes. You and me can just rent our own car, and we can drive by ourselves." And it wasn't like, it was everybody in the band would come up and tell me that
But
stuff.
the best part is that you were like the mellowest dude of them all. So
Right.
they were like, "Hey man, it's Sean's
Yeah,
cool."
yeah. Well, they didn't live with me in a van. I wasn't there when they were
right.
driving through the Nevada desert and ran out of gas in the middle of the desert.
Jeez.
And had to sit there in the 120 degrees sun waiting for someone to come by so they could get a ride to a gas station and back with no cell phone stuff. And I thought, I got there and they told me the story and I'm laughing. It sounds horrible. Well, I got to go back to work, guys.
Oh, those were the days.
Those
man.
were the days.
Those were the days, my
Yep.
friend. I
Yep.
thought they would never end.
Right.
All right. So, hey, we're going to call an end to this. I was really happy to have my friends Sean and Eric here to do this podcast. Hope you got a lot of grins out of it. I was laughing my butt off. It was great stuff. All right. So, Dr. Jones, I bid you adieu. Thank you so much. Boy, am I glad those days are over. It's amazing the tolerance a person can have when their IQ is super low.
Are you kidding me?
Well, that's a wrap for this podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
That's all, folks!
Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it, please subscribe to Bryan at Mack-n-Cheeze on YouTube. Just press that subscribe button and you'll never miss another episode. Hey, and you got that going for you, right? All right. Cheers. Have a great day.